Good evening, everybody. Thank you for hopping on tonight. Tonight is actually a very special call. It's the first edition of My Story Matters and Doc Talk combined. And it's all about neurodiversity. I know that we all know of someone in our lives that's been affected by it, that lives with it, whether it's a parent or an actual child. And it's becoming more and more, rampant in our society these days. And we want to discuss tonight a little bit about activation and hear from Dr. Nancy Bryan, who, as you all know, is an astute member of our Science Advisory Board. But Dr. Nancy has a very incredible story of her own to share, as well as her background. She's a doctor of pharmacology. She's a PharmD from Ferris State University. She's got a bachelor in science with molecular biochemistry. She's a certified diabetic educator. She's a certified geriatric pharmacist, certified human and veterinary pharmacist and formulator, and again, a member of our Science Advisory Board. So it's not just a doctor getting on. Dr. Nancy has been in LifeVantage for many years. I think probably 11, if I'm correct, as I just surpassed my 9-year anniversary. My name is Kim Kovensky. I'm an executive consultant. And my husband Brody and I joined 9 years ago in May when I got sick. And these products completely changed my life. I've had the opportunity to actually work with quite a few individuals dealing with autism and neurodiversity in their families and watch the complete transformations that a lot of these children are having. When we're not supplementing a deficiency in the body and we're activating systems, our products work just so differently, as most of you know. If you're new to LifeVantage this evening, and this is the first time that you're on a call, this is one of the most powerful calls that you could probably hear for your first time. We'll discuss with Nancy a doctor's perspective. She'll talk about, activation versus the supplementation and how these products work to improve and refine the focus, behavior, the communication skills of, the neurodivergent community, as well as the cell signaling. I know that when it comes to neurodivergent individuals, a lot of them are very sensitive to chemicals and they don't detox as well. And that our products play such a huge role in both of those. We're also going to hear from Diane, who her son Josh has been on the products now. And Diane actually tried this with her son before she did it with herself. And after exhausting all methods of trying to help him, this is the one thing that she changed that completely changed his life. Along with Sherida, and a lot of you know Dr. Brett Brimhall. Sherida is Dr. Brett's sister, and for many, 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 many years, Sherida listened to Dr. Brett. And then just about, I think 2 years ago, she finally decided to discuss it with him and look at it for her son, Weston. And another life-changing story that I'm excited to hear as well. So I'm going to pass this over to Dr. Nancy to talk about, why this is so key for individuals with neurodiversity.
Neurodiversity. Oh, there we go. I had to get myself unmuted. I may have all those backgrounds, but one I don't have is technology information. Oh, thank goodness for my kids and grandkids. Anyway, hey, everybody, I am so grateful that you're all here taking attention tonight, because this is such an important issue for so many families. And why we wanted to come together tonight is, first and foremost, the stories matter, the chemistry matters, all of it matters, but it's most important to give you hope. That's what we're here for, is we want to be able to give hope to optimize what every one of our bodies are capable of doing, but especially in this situation. So real quick, what I want to talk about to begin with, we're going to be talking about Protandim NRF2. And it is the flagship product that really started this company. And what really set it apart was exactly what Kim was talking about, the fact that it was an activator. Our product is called Protandim NRF2 Synergizer, okay? That word is so important because the difference is we have cellular molecular biochemistry that I get passionate about. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole huge, but you just need to know every cell has within it mitochondria doing its function, taking in food and oxygen, and giving the energy to the cell to do its work. But it has a byproduct, just like a car when it's burning gasoline, right? It has a byproduct that's called oxidative stress, okay? It's free radicals that are being formed because the oxygens, when they come in as oxygen, they're not all used up as O2, which leaves an oxygen. And when all that happens, the body's equipped through this wonderful pathway called NRF2 in our cells that neutralize it. And I'm talking about when we're properly functioning, it's millions of free radicals, okay? We're not talking 500, 600 or a billion, just huge numbers, okay? So what separates what we do is the ability of taking 5 plant parts that are specific and they activate this NRF2 pathway. So it turns on our own body's ability, which is way greater than what we can do from the outside. So the purpose and why we get so excited about activation is understanding, first and foremost, what we do in this company is utilize plants that help each of our systems to operate at its optimum for what it can be. In the case of autism and ADHD and any of the brain function, there's something that has to happen, the signaling, and it's between the gut and the brain. And so between the two, we have to make sure that activation and signaling is happening. And that's why we get so excited, because NRF2 goes in, it helps our digestive tract to operate more properly, and then that helps with our signaling between our gut and our brain. Then once it's inside the brain, we have to have signaling between each of our cells. And all of that requires the body doing its work optimally. So I know that was a lot, but hopefully that will give you a beginning basis. And my story, to be honest, I started because I had my own health issues, and I had a surfer. I repeat that, a surfer bring this information to me. You don't have to be a doctor. You don't have to be a scientist. Just share what we have. If that guy didn't do what he did, I'm not sure I'd be here, okay? His sharing of this product made all the difference. I had no intention of being part of any company or doing anything remotely close to this. But after I started feeling better, I had a dear friend with some challenges. She had a daughter that had autism, and she was in her 20s, and they were really struggling. They couldn't get her to do the things she needed to, and they were in jeopardy of Child Protective Services taking her. I ran over to their house not knowing what this would do, except one thing. I knew it would optimize her ability for her brain to signal. And guess what? It was just exactly what she needed. She was able to start communicating better with her parents. And today she's still with them and doing great and doing amazing things. And then by the grace of God, she had some neighbors. And those neighbors, dear Bob, I love Bob. We all love Bob. and Bob wanted to share this info because he saw it. And so he invited Diane. And you're going to hear from Diane today. This is why sharing matters. Because of that, guess what? I saw things that I knew I had a moral obligation to do this. started asking a lot of questions, saw what the company had, and that's why I'm here today, and so very grateful for all the people I met. I had the ability to go up and see Kim and meet her and her husband. And when her and I met, from that point on, we knew we were going to be best buddies. And that's what this is also about, building a community. So hopefully that's going to give you a good basis of where we're starting. And I can't wait for you to hear both Diane and Sherida's stories, because stories do matter. Kim, I hope that's what you were looking for. And
Yes.
I'll send it back.
I do want to discuss another key product. And I know that it's the product that Sherida chose to use first before she brought NRF2 into her son's life. But if you could just discuss a little bit about Axio and why we're actually seeing what we're seeing with Axio, because it's really astounding. I mean, I don't go a day without it. I know that I completely feel a difference in my focus and my concentration and just my mood and my mental status, like my mental energy. I'm able to go when I know when I don't have it. And I remember being on a road trip last year about this time, and you looked at me and you said, "I think you need to have your Axio today." It just sharpens you up. And I've had the blessing of introducing, Axio being one of the products into people that are dealing with a nonverbal situation, and all of a sudden children are speaking, and like it's mind-blowing to me. So if you could go over that as well, and maybe even touch on the probiotic and the importance of why these are so powerful. I know that so many people are used to having a diagnosis and waiting for treatment, there's a lot of people that are going the natural route, and then they're being supplemented to death, and it's a difficult thing, activation versus supplementation. But if you could touch on Axio and the power of it, that would be wonderful.
Absolutely. And again, you know what? When I was introduced to this, those were the products that we had. We had the NRF2 Pro Tandem Synergizer and the Axio. And to your point, the whole reason that we have the Axio is because we need to get higher concentrations into the brain. And by having the Axio in the form that it's in and how it's formulated, our body absorbs it perfectly through our digestive tract. And by doing so, we have those signalings going on, and it allows it to be absorbed into the brain. So to your point, the important parts of this are that the ingredients are very similar between the Protandem tablet and the Axio that is a powder that you mix in water. Some of it is just the ability for it's already broken down when it's put into the form it's in the Axio, so you're going to absorb it better in terms of getting into the brain. So that's one of the keys to having the Axio along with the NRF2. But I think one of the most important things is with a lot of these kids, it's a lot easier to get Axio into them first. It's the first thing. And to your point about the probiotic, again, I keep talking about the gut. When the gut is broken, and you have to understand the whole basis of the gene expression that happens and all the things that happen, but the gut is not doing its work, and glutathione gets diminished, and these enzymes that need to be there to break things down aren't there. And so when the gut doesn't have its proper probiotics, it can't do that breakdown and bring out those enzymes. And so that's why we throw in that probiotic as a basis that are going to help recover our own digestive tract bacteria that we need to have there. And why we lose that is because of all the antibacterial things we have. Think about all the things that we have in our food sources. There's so many reasons that we get an imbalance with our bacteria that are good bacteria in our gut, and the bad things start taking over. And when that happens, we can't make glutathione. When you don't make glutathione, your gut isn't able to signal that to the brain, and the brain can't do the chemistry required for signaling. And so it doesn't matter if you're getting older and having issues with dementia or Alzheimer's, or if it's ADHD in kids, they can't calm down. It's the balancing of that chemistry that these products are able to help activate in our body again, and why it's so key. So you know what, I get really excited. I could go on and on about gut health because it's so important. One other thing I do like to bring up is the prebiotic. I like to mix the axial and the prebiotic. That feeds our probiotics. But as we keep those numbers and get them closer, and there's lots of probiotics out there. And as you said too, supplements. What people don't understand, what separates us out is, in the case of our probiotic, it's the encapsulation process, it's the formulation process. You're getting 60 to 70% of probiotics that are good into your gut. The average on any of the shelves, anywhere you're purchasing, is around 3 to 4%. I don't know about you, but I want 60 to 70. That's going to make a difference. So that in itself is one thing. But again, it's what we do with our science, how we go get our active ingredients and test them, and everything that we do to ensure over and over again, when you take these products, you're going to get the same thing over and over again, and we can expect those results. And as a result of that, the FDA allows us to make some claims that other people can't. And so as a result of that, we see activation in our body. And to me, that's the ultimate key with what we're doing here.
That makes perfect sense, and it's very powerful information for everybody to understand and know. And you know, these products have, it's just astounding how many lives I've seen change in the last 9 years of being with LifeVantage. When I first signed up, I would have had no idea, you know, and I spent many years, doctors didn't know what to do with me. And back then, you know, I thought I needed a diagnosis to figure it out. You know, eventually I was diagnosed with chronic Lyme disease, but 5 days on these products and my life was forever changed. And so it's crazy when you are in this for so long and your belief is just so strong, and you just want to give this information to every single person that, you know, we come across. I am gonna hand this over to Diane, and I have met Diane a few times. She's actually on Nancy's team, and she has a son, Josh. She's a single mom of 4. Josh has autism. And, you know, just listening to her story and the challenges that she has gone through, even personally in her own life, as well as struggling to help Josh. But the way she worded it with me is that she literally exhausted all options. And Bob introduced this to her, and it completely changed the way she viewed things. And before trying it on herself, she gave it to her son. And 2 weeks later, you know, and it's crazy. 2 weeks after all these years of dead ends. And so, Diane, if you want to go ahead and unmute yourself, we would love for you to share your story.
I got it. I'm here. Well, first of all, my son is not a child anymore. He is a 41-year-old adult. So we've come a long ways. So my journey is starting with Josh. From the beginning, I knew something was wrong. His development was slow. He didn't walk until he was 18 months. He didn't talk until he was 2.5 years old. And at that time, doctors really didn't know anything. He was diagnosed with cerebral palsy, and then it was emotionally handicapped, and then it was mentally retarded. Those were the words they used at those times, which is awful to hear. Anyway, the internet was not available at my time. And so I spent a lot of time in the library researching and educating myself. And what I discovered on my own about Josh is that his sensory system was completely off. He couldn't sleep. He would wake up hearing roosters, and we live in the city. The garage doors going up and down, he would scream at. He didn't like wearing his clothes. The labels hurt his body. So I would go to the doctor and I would tell him this, and he just looked at me. So then I found my first book on autism. And I wasn't crazy. I finally had some answers. So from there, I tried different things. I tried a cranial adjustment. I tried acupuncture, sound therapy, and he had a lot of behavioral issues. All this helped a bit, and it was just part of the process. So through school, he received special education all the way through high school. Then Josh turned 18. And he experienced a severe psychosis. He started talking to himself. He started to harm himself and his sister. This began multiple hospitalizations and a struggle to manage his behavior with medication. I also learned he turned 18 and it was his choice if he wanted care. It was heartbreaking and terrifying. And it was we were at a good place. And coming home didn't bring peace. One day, Josh wandered off and was later found in the Arizona sun on the asphalt, and he got third-degree burns. When they say that you can fry an egg, you can fry an egg on the asphalt. We spent the next year and a half in and out of the hospital because he had it on his legs and his hands. And at that point, a judge eventually ordered 24-hour care for Josh and a placement in a group home. Well, I was devastated again. Eventually, we moved to Oregon where I could care for Josh and support him at home. And in Oregon, they had state-funded caregivers, and that helped. But I was always looking for something for him. I knew he needed more. And I was always searching. But then 7 years ago, my friend Bob reached out with a suggestion. At first, I put him off. And eventually, I gave it a try. Within 2 weeks, I noticed changes in Josh. He was calmer, more responsible, and started to figure things out on his own. And then one day, someone came to pick him up for a doctor's appointment. I was so tired all the time. I fell asleep and expecting to give them an address and where the appointment was and the time when I woke up, but they were gone. And when they got back, Josh had taken care of everything. He knew the time and location of the appointment and gave the information himself. I was speechless. It may sound small, but it was a huge moment. From there, I watched him grow in ways I never thought possible. His communication, his reasoning skills, his vocabulary, his ability to manipulate even grew. So Josh's journey has been full of struggles and heartbreak and hope and progress. I have been so thankful for LifeVantage and the products that have changed not only my son's life, but my own. While caring for Josh, and his 3 siblings, I became sick. I was so tired all the time, my body became weak. I never woke up refreshed or feeling good. I had to have my mom come in and move in and help me. And after many doctor's visits, I found out I had Epstein-Barr virus. It's like having a continuous mono, a very hard mono. It was so bad I couldn't drive. I was almost hospitalized. So I thought maybe I should try this NFR too. It would help me. I felt the detox And I was more tired, but I kept on taking it. Then one morning, I woke up refreshed. Now that was 3 months later. Effects I'll never forget that morning since taking Activation products. And I'll tell you what, I have never gone to the doctor since or had a flare-up since taking the products. That's my story.
Thank you. That is amazing and incredible. And whenever it's your child or even our own selves, every time I hear someone's story, I just want to shout it from the rooftop, because what we have our hands on is so powerful. And like Nancy said, you feel that moral obligation to share. You obviously felt the obligation to share, joining as a consultant and now talking to other people about it and sharing your personal story, which is very brave. And it's life-changing for those that you touch along the way. So thank you for sharing that.
I just want to add one little extra part to that, because now he is doing as well as he is. Diane's been able to come to convention. She's been able to come to some of our meetings, and it's had a major impact, not just on Josh, but on her and what she's able to do, and to be able to make such a difference for so many other people. And I think that's the part that, sometimes we forget to focus on that, but I just want to bring that up because I've had the distinct pleasure to get to know Diane, and we've become such dear friends, and it's just amazing to be able to watch this journey.
Mm-hmm.
Very much so. Thank you, Diane. So much appreciated. It means so much that you were able to come on here and share. I know that you were originally nervous, but
Not me.
So brave, though. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Our next guest, Sherida Brimhall, who I met originally a couple years ago in Nashville, or a year ago, whatever, not very long ago, and now had the opportunity to spend some time with you on our last trip, hearing your son's story and just knowing that you're Dr. Brett's sister and not joining for so many years. It was very shocking to me, but also, we're all our own individual people, and we process the information very differently. Sherida is a mom of a son, Weston, who's 19, I believe, right?
Yep, correct.
And I'm excited to hear the full-on story, because you, again, like Diane, didn't try the products first. You wanted to get your son on them immediately, and saw a difference in 2 weeks as well. But I would love to hear your story with your son, as well as your own story, because I know that you've had your own transformation as well once you started the products, and decided to join as a consultant, and you are a massage therapist and using it with your clientele as well. And very wonderful story. I'm excited for you to share it into the LifeVantage community as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me tonight. And I am so grateful for these Zooms. It just allows me to hear people's stories. And I thank each of you for being here tonight, and whoever invited you. I am so grateful for you taking the time to be here. But when Brett talked to me about this, he told me, so I have a son. He was actually my nephew when he was born, and he was drug exposed in utero. And so he just was okay. Like, we survived. We just one day, to the next day, and just kind of did what we did. And I'm sure a lot of parents, mothers, and fathers can relate to this, but I'm a single mom. It was just me, and my health, my life, my sleep, like everything got put on hold for this little boy. When he went into kindergarten is when I really started before I could control all the variables, right? He's home. It's just me, like who he saw, who was in our home, who we went out and spent time with, like I controlled those things. And when he went into school, he was not aggressive, which I was very grateful for, but he just did not fit in with kids his age. He would really gravitate towards younger kids, didn't understand social cues of kids his age. He thought he was being picked on a lot. And so Brett had talked to me about Axio. Honestly, I didn't even know that they had other products at first. Like Brett was always like, we grew up in a family of natural medicine. My dad is a chiropractor, so is Brett. My dad is a formulator and has lectured my whole life. And Brett has for the last 25, 30 years. And so we grew up no strangers to supplementation and chiropractic, acupuncture, cranial, like all the things. And so I was doing all the things that I knew to do. And when he talked to me about Axio, I was like, okay, cool. Like I just started giving it to Wes, and I really didn't ask a lot of questions. I trusted Brett, and we just had that relationship that I just said, okay, I'll give it to Weston. And within a couple weeks, his teacher allowed him to call me, and I was like, why are you calling me? Is everything okay? And you could tell he was kind of like panicked, like, I can't take my test. I've got to take my test. I need my Axio. And I was like, he was not like, he'd go drink, water at school. It wasn't a big deal. Like, you forgot your water bottle, no big deal. But he had to have his Axio. And I was like, oh, this is different. And so I went to the school. They let me take it to his classroom, and the teacher said, yeah. He came, he got it, and went straight back to his desk, which I thought was kind of rare also, because normally he didn't want to leave my side. He'd stay and visit and want to get out of work as long as possible. Nope, he grabbed his Axio, straight to his desk, take his test. And I stood there and talked to the teacher for a second, and I said, he's not, he didn't go into a little classroom to the side with an aide. He stayed in the normal classroom. And he had been, for a while, he'd been staying in the normal classroom, or not been staying in the normal classroom. She's like, yeah, he just, a week ago, he just said, can I take my test in here? And a little background on this too, I think I forgot to leave out, but he was held back in kindergarten, and they talked about holding back again. And I was like, nope, I don't care if he doesn't get the best grades. I just didn't want him to be that much an age difference from his peers. And so I said, I'll do whatever I have to do, tutors, I helped him as much as possible. And so I was so relieved, but really kind of skeptical at that point when he was in a normal classroom with his peers taking a test. And that was a huge, huge turning point in my brain that this is different, that this, whatever it is, I didn't, honestly, you guys, I didn't really use the word activation a lot. I didn't really understand or know. I was just an exhausted mom just trying to survive, and so I didn't really even look at the products. I just trusted Brett, right? But when this started happening, I was okay, this is different. So any other moms that had kids who struggle, I would just tell them that I'd give them Brett's number, talk to Brett, I'm like, I'm not Brett. I can't do this. It didn't even cross my mind, honestly. And Brett had mentioned to me, I'm like, no, I'm good. I just need to focus on Weston. And so as we did the Axio, I'm like, well, I wonder what would happen if I gave him Axio after school, if he had scouts or an extracurricular activity. And I'm like, I'll give it to him then. So I did. And he understood social cues. His communication was better. He would come home and I met this person on the playground. I played with them. Their name was this. Let me tell you, that never happened before Axio. Mike, who'd you play with today? I don't know. What'd you do? I don't know. He just didn't retain or care to have a conversation. His conversational skills grew dramatically, which for a mom that was trying to get their child to really communicate and talk, it was huge. And so from then as we went on, and it was not perfect, but the more he, if he did not have his Axio, I'm like, go take your Axio. He knew, now, I mean, I can't keep him from it. It's his favorite thing. He doesn't love water without Axio. It is, he'll tell everybody, he's like, hey, I gave your number out to somebody today for Axio. Because this kid now at 19 has a totally different life than he possibly could have before. But when he got into high school, I was always on him about eating this or taking this, and he hated taking vitamins. I don't know if anybody can relate, but just I'd never really tried to get him to take Nerve 2. But when I started looking at what Nerve 2 did, I was like, I wonder if this could help him. And then I found about ProBio, and I've used ProBio. I've used a lot of probiotics in my life. It is my favorite, hands down. Will not use anything else. It is it's auto ship every month. I love it. So I told him, I said, okay, make you a deal. It's a junior year in high school. I won't harass you about your diet and what you eat if you'll just take these 2 things every day. And so I gave him ProBio, which is the Nerf 2 little yellow magic pill, and ProBio, or Nerf 2 and ProBio. So I put him in a little pill case. He took them every morning. That junior year wound up turning into his senior year, and he graduated when he should have. Kids in high school do not do that, especially kids who struggle throughout school. It's just like, I actually went and met with a counselor 2 or 3 times. Like when Weston told me he could graduate this, he's like, I can graduate this year. I talked to my counselor. I'm like, oh yeah, we'll see. I just didn't believe it. I literally made multiple appointments to go in there and sit down and to really navigate. It just, oh my gosh, you guys, it just still gets to me just to see where this kid is today. He's 19. He's getting ready to go on a mission for a church, leave home for 2 years. He's driving. He has a girlfriend. He's doing all these things that as a little kid, I did not know that he was, if he's gonna be able to do them. Driving a car when he was younger, I was like, okay, like, let's just like focus on schoolwork or this project or that project. I didn't know how he would do focusing like driving, and he's been awesome. You know, so it's given him freedom and me freedom that I just didn't know was possible. And then as I was telling you, I kind of put my life on hold. I just did anything and everything I could do to take care of this boy, right? And I blew my knee out a couple years ago. And about that time, I worked in the office with Brett for a while. I wasn't working in the office. I was literally doing any work I could do around Weston's schedule so I could drop him off at school, pick him up from school. So I really got away from doing full-time body work for a while to take care of Weston. And doing other things, I really put strain on my body. I wasn't sleeping great. I was working crazy hours. I was just doing all these different things around his schedule, and it took a toll on my body. And I tore my meniscus, and I was like, I've always bounced back. Anything, like I just bounce back. I get some acupuncture, chiropractic, you know, whatever. Yeah, this seems even silly to say, but I had not even tried the products for myself at this point, right? This is like 2.5 years ago. I'm like, and Brett's like, just try it. I'm like, okay, fine, I'll try it. You got, like, I don't know. It seems really silly, but I just was so focused on him. And so I'm like, well, it can't hurt. So I started taking something called the Tri-Synergizer. So it's a packet of 3 activating products and the collagen. And so I'm okay, I'm really going to give this a go. I literally put an alarm in my phone every morning. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to take my products this time, this day. Within, okay, like a little bit, I feel like I'm skipping over a little backstory. Brett's like, what are you doing? Because we did labs and my liver enzymes were like 4 times higher than they should be. And I was like, taking Advil to survive. And I was just in a lot of pain. And so he's like, you've got to do something different. Like, this is not working. And so that's when I decided to try the products for myself. And within 1 month, I haven't taken Advil for my knees since. And I didn't shift anything. I just started taking the products, and I was still having to take a little bit of Advil. And the Advil wasn't really helping a lot, but it was just taking the edge off where I could do body work for other people. And I was literally at that point of, do I retire, or is my body going to get well enough to maintain the schedule that I'm doing? And you guys, I can do 8, 9, 10 massages a day. We work 2 days a week in the office. I could work more if I wanted to, but I literally work in the office 2 days a week and do Life Founders the other days. Like, you cannot shut me up about it now. So it's so funny, like all these years later, I cannot imagine not sharing with people. I feel like it's doing them disservice, whether it's my clients or whether it's somebody that's giving me a ride in an Uber or somebody that's like served me at a restaurant. If a conversation comes up about something that we can, like financial, physical health issues, like we have the answer to a community, and it's changed, like financially, totally changed things for me. I had to actually take some time off my knee. And because of the business I built with Life Vantage, the finances just wasn't a stress. And so it's just, and it's so fun to do this with all of these people on this call, but especially these 3 other ladies. So fun. And this is like the beginning of Weston's story, only the beginning of my story. But without calls like this, I wouldn't have known Diane's story. probably. And so it's super, super fun to get to know the science of why this is working and then to see the lives as they change. So thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing all of that tonight. That is so powerful. And just to be able to have this conversation tonight, there are so many moms out there in your shoes. And, you know, I'm with you as far as you do anything for your children to make their lives easier and better, and you want the best for them. And you know, it's not hard to put ourselves on the back burner, you know, and give ourselves grace. But the fact that your son has had such a transformation is just like, it's mind blowing from where he started to where he is now. And you're right, LifeVantage is life changing. Everyone deserves to hear about LifeVantage. Everyone, you know, I'm guilty of, there's times where I'm too quiet about it and I'm thinking, what is wrong with me? Like, I look back even on my own story and I don't even know if I'd be here if I hadn't found LifeVantage. I was so sick. Thank you again for sharing your powerful testimonies. And so much appreciated. So much love getting to know you as